Hello and welcome back to the Inside Picks podcast. My name is Mike Owens, where each week I give you my thoughts on one of the biggest fights in combat sports coming up this weekend. After the UFC's return to Seattle last weekend, we're back in the Apex with a matchup between top 10 flyweights Manel Kape and Asu Almabayev. This wasn't the original matchup. Manel Kape was matched up in a title eliminator against number one contender Brandon Royval, who unfortunately had to pull out due to a concussion. Asu Almabayev was matched up with Steve Erceg on this same card, who was brought on to fight Brandon Moreno at the main event of UFC Mexico City later in March. So with both Manel and Asu without fight, the UFC went with the decision to match these guys up for the main event of the card. The card has certainly taken a hit in terms of star quality, in terms of losing both of those matchups, and obviously losing Steve Erceg and Brandon Royval specifically, but this is still very much a quality matchup in the UFC's flyweight division. For my money, Manel Kape is one of the fastest strikers in the UFC at the moment. His ability to punch in combination, but also punch with single shots with the speed and ferocity, is probably best seen in his last win over Bruno Silva back in December. His ability to get that third round knockout with mixing in the body kick with the punches to the head, really softening up that body before going with the head strikes, very impressive and really put him on the map. I mean, Manel has had a lot of big victories in his long career. He knocked out Kaya Sakura to win the Rising Bantamweight title a couple of years ago in Japan, but he's also had a recent win over Ozzy Osbourne by a flying knee. So Kape's speed and explosivity is one of his greatest assets. If there's a way to beat him, we'd probably look at the Muhammad Mokaev fight, where he was controlled on the ground and kind of stalled out to a close but considerable points decision. If you're looking at a way to beat Manel Kape, it's probably to get away from his striking and at least to mix in the threat of the takedown. And I do feel like that's where Asu Almabayev is going to want to take this fight. I mean, he's still pretty young in his UFC career, but he's undefeated, 4-0. He's averaged 26 minutes of control time in his last three fights, which is over half of his last three fights. Over half of them have been control time for Asu. He's going to need some form of takedown threat to win this fight. However, having said that, Mateus Nicolau in his last fight was able to stuff a lot of Asu's takedowns, and he did win that fight on the feet. So I'm not saying that he totally needs the control time and the dominance on the ground in order to get this over the line, but he's certainly going to need to mix that in against such a dangerous and experienced and explosive striker as Manel Kape. Another point to mention, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be fighting in the Apex for this one, which does lead to the smaller cage, and it could be a potential advantage for Asu Almabayev. However, if I'm Manel Kape and I'm based out of Las Vegas, I'm probably trying to get in that cage at some point and just have a feel around. And this is obviously a place that Manel has fought before, but just another point to consider when we look at this matchup. For me, I feel like Manel's speed, footwork, and KO power will be enough to see him through in terms of landing the bigger shots and probably cruising to a wide but clear points decision in the main event this Saturday night. In terms of what's next for the winner, I mean, the original fight between Brandon Royval and Manel Kape was labelled as a 125 title eliminator. I do feel like this fight is what I would term a one-way title eliminator, in the sense that I feel like if Manel Kape gets the victory, he will probably fight for the belt next, but if Asu Almabayev gets the victory, he'll probably need to do a little bit more. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with Manel in the past, and he reiterates to me that he's the best paid flyweight in the division, and the UFC, if that is true, will certainly want to be getting some bang for the buck in terms of getting him into those big fights and getting him those title opportunities. The other thing to consider is Alexandre Pantoja does need new contenders. I'm conscious that Manel has already got a defeat to Alexandre Pantoja, but that was a very close fight in his UFC debut, and there's certainly a narrative there that I think you could sell in terms of Manel's star power, is Manel's ability to talk on the microphone and stir up a little bit of interest. I do feel like if Manel can get over the line in this fight, he will get the winner of the rumoured Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France fight, given the beef with Kai Kara France as well. As I mentioned then, I do think Asu will probably need to do a little bit more. Maybe a Amir Albazi fight could be next with a win on Saturday night, but I do feel like, again, given his relative youth in the promotion, he will need to do a little bit more in order to secure that title shot. That's it from me, but please make sure to subscribe to the Inside Fighting YouTube channel and comment below who you think is going to win in the main event between Manel Kape and Asu Almabayev. We'd love to get your thoughts.